Everyone, thanks for being here. Steve has suggested, a method that we're trying to keep our minutes, and I can type them, but I was going to try to figure out a way to share my screen, but I didn't get a chance to work that out with Steve, so I'm going to have to kind of defer to that, and I can type stuff in on them, and you can get at it or not as you see fit, I guess. Let's see, where am I? There we go. Underhill draft minutes. So I guess that means that I'm the note taker as well, since nobody else is going to be in a position to take notes on all of this. So unless anybody else can get at it and wants to do that, do I hear any resounding?
I can
I don't.
No.
tell you what,
So
Mike.
I
I'll try to get at it. Well, you can start, and I'll try to see if I can get at it and take over. How's that?
Oh, great. Thank you. Thanks, John. That's great. We'll see. I'll just put JB question mark here for note taker. And meeting guidelines are the same as we've had. We're still operating by remotely, and I guess we'll continue to do that until people say we want to do something else. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Did you all get a chance to get the agenda? Either online or directly. Oh, Steve has arrived. Steve, maybe you can help me figure out how to get either share my screen or take over sharing the screen for the minutes.
What would you like?
I was just explaining to everyone. Um, I'm not quite sure how to share my screen on doing this. I had the devil's own time getting on it all,
Okay, I
working
can
off of
share.
Chrome. Okay, I need to make you presenter though, as I recall.
Yeah, you do.
So now let's see. I need to go to the people button, and then that's going to be Steve. And as I recall, it works this way. Whoops, come on now, Steve. And God, every time I try to go down to it, it cuts me off. I don't quite understand that. Make presenter. It's funny, it won't let me pick make presenter. I go to, it will let me make organizer or excuse. I don't know what
Are you
that
signed
means.
in? Are you signed in as you or as the town hall?
Town hall. No, I'm signed in as town hall, I believe, but I
Yep,
got pretty confused about.
your town hall.
Well,
Okay,
he's labeled town hall. Doesn't mean he is town hall.
right. So something weird is afoot. God, this is really. I'm not going to do this on Chrome anymore after this.
It's not Chrome. That's not the problem. The problem is this software.
Well, but we were able to do this every time I try to.
Well, go ahead. Try
Okay,
Firefox.
nice. Well,
You can leave this open. Just go to Firefox.
all right. Let's see. Go to Firefox is there. See what I can find.
I don't think it's going to make a difference, but
I
try
don't think
somebody
so
else
either.
other than me.
Try somebody else other than you. That means I got to go back to go to. No, that's not it. Let's try because you're at the bottom. Let's try Ravi. Nope, it's giving me the same problem with Ravi. If I tried Dwight,
All right, so what's wrong?
won't make Dwight presenter either.
That's probably a good thing.
Well, I only went to you because you're at the top of the list after me. Why don't I just do it? And we'll try to figure out how this works. It will be a lousy thing trying to run it and
Okay,
kind
so
of
you
do
need
that
to
at,
open up. You need to open up the Underhill Energy Committee website
yeah, I've got it
drive.
on my other I've got it on my other computer, Steve.
Yeah, but you don't. How are you going to display it?
Oh, I see. So I need to try that. Okay, let's try that. Now, how are
You
we
just
going
go
to
to
do
another
this?
tab. Just go to
Well,
another
right now
tab.
I'm actually in GoTo. Now Google Chrome. Here we go. Let's go to this.
Or
Okay.
you're in
My account. Okay, I got my account now.
my account, or do you have your account, or do you have the Underhill Energy Committee account?
It's actually it says Underhill. Looks like the Underhill Energy account.
Okay, go to minutes.
Well, I haven't got, I mean, I've got go to meeting up. Let's try another new tab.
All right, make a new tab and go to drive.google.com.
Now that's fascinating.
Have you got the blue bar at the top of the drive window?
Yep.
Okay, and you've got the U with the red and white.
Yep.
Okay, and have you opened the meetings and agendas folder?
I'm just got here now. Okay, now I've opened Energy Committee folder. Let's get down to uh, what on earth is
You want to
this
go
doesn't
to the
even, oh,
meetings
here we go,
agendas?
meetings agendas, right?
Yeah, then the minutes folder.
Yeah. Oh, that's minutes old. I'm going to minutes new. I've made an old folder. Minutes. Cool. So,
Then open up.
okay, we're open now.
Okay, now go down to the share button at the bottom center. You got to go back to um,
Yep.
go
Back to
to
Google. No, not that. This.
back to go to meeting.
Go to share. EC minutes dot drafts. Share.
There you go.
Hey,
Now except I'm not sharing with me. I'm
You,
all I've gotten. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. Let's see.
if you just go to that window, what you see in that Underhill Energy Committee window is what we see.
Okay, I need to make this smaller because this is going to be a challenge because if what on earth? Because if what you oh there we go, that sharing with sound. All right, that's one. It's like a person here on mine. I don't quite get how this is working, but um,
Do you see the Underhill Energy Committee draft minutes in a reasonable size?
no, I see it
Okay,
at
do Alt Tab. Do Alt Tab until you see the one that has the Energy Committee minutes in it.
okay. All, Oops.
Do you see it in any of those listed?
Yeah, and I've got, now it's the whole screen.
Good. That's good. That's the one you want.
None of
You
you
also,
guys are on there.
that's okay.
It's not okay for me. How do I know who's doing what or whatever? Okay, so this is what I got. So I will drive. I am the note taker.
Actually, I can take notes. You can just use the agenda. Michael,
Yeah.
I can take notes. You can just run the meeting.
Okay. Once you've got the screen shared,
Yeah.
you can do it.
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Let me go back to my agenda.
Well, you
Where
got the
is that?
agenda in the minutes.
No, I'm talking about. Okay, I got my copy of the draft minutes up here on my laptop. My desktop, as opposed to. All right. So now you're doing something with this. So that will be Steve. Hey, he's actually doing it. Success. All right. So, whew. Okay. So any adjustments to the agenda? No, realizing that I cannot see you, so you're going to have to say me. Maybe I can do something with this. No adjustments to the agenda. Um, okay. Okay. We've got the who's in attendance. Any public participants? Oh, Graham is here too. Great. I do not see any public participants. So we'll have no public comment period. Whew. So review and approve minutes from March 15th. Has anybody had a chance to even so much as glance at them or whatever? I did, but anyone else?
I move we adopt them.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing no opposition, the minutes are adopted. Committee operations. It's going to be a brief item here. Any thoughts on getting more people? I know that that's our classic dilemma. Anyone knows anybody? It seems to me. I was talking to somebody who said they knew somebody, and now I don't even remember who. I did have one assignment that I was not successful in completing, which was to get in touch with that guy who said he might be interested. That got lost in the other shuffles. So I cannot bring nothing to that. Any other thoughts on this one?
Peter had asked me about a neighbor of ours who could be a good candidate, and I spoke with him the other day, and he is a hard no.
Okay, I get that means no, I think, right? We'll go with no. Okay, if anybody has any other thoughts or whatever, obviously bring them to the table. We could still use two people. We're completely down one, and Steve is still looking for the exit door, although I don't know why, because we'll probably make him do more work when he does that. But nonetheless, he's looking for the opportunity to move on. So, and I certainly think we should appreciate that after everything he's done already. So, hearing no more thoughts on that one, we'll move on to the ARPA projects. I just wanted to let you folks know that the ARPA committee has basically wrapped up its work. We did not fare very well in it. I don't know what you may or may not know about it. The Basically none of the EV proposals got anywhere, nor the charger proposal got anywhere. Wasn't for want of trying, but on the other hand, I mean, we did get stuff that wasn't on our prime radiant. We did get them interested in generators for both the town hall and the town garage. Although oddly enough, I wound up having to fight for the town garage and tell them, can't get the damn doors open. So they finally decided to go with that. They did go for solar for the town hall. That was the only thing I was successful in getting in. I was worried that I wasn't even going to get that. We did get, the very light duty finish upgrading the electric service in town hall and finish upgrading to LEDs, but both of those are pretty minimal
Okay,
kind of things.
so
So,
you saying
yep.
those are approved or those are still tentative?
Well, what it is, they were approved by the ARPA committee to advance to the select board. The select board is the group that actually approves them. And it's my understanding that Bill Frank, who chaired our committee, will be presenting our findings to the select board tomorrow at tomorrow evening's meeting. So anyone who wants to attend, I'm already booked into he's got me booked into another meeting, so I will not be able to attend, but I do intend to loop back and see what happened. But, if anybody wants to sign on and see it, it'll be tomorrow evening. The big thing that people are mostly interested in, I mean, the big ticket items. One of them it has some perhaps energy implications, which is interested in getting a sidewalk built for the center. And I think that is a very damn good idea, quite frankly, and it could have some transportation implications. The other two big projects were kind of lumping a whole bunch of town hall improvements all together, including the electric upgrades, some painting, some floor improvements, a lot of things that had come up, plus the generator, all lumped into town hall improvements. And the other big ticket item was a suggestion to provide funds for the Harvest Crossing affordable housing development to help them get their stuff off the road. Everything else was comparatively small, some fire department requests and some requests about the schools and so on and so forth. So, but between those three things, like the sidewalk went in for about 200,000, and the town hall improvements for about 150, and the affordable housing for about 100. So I mean that ate up most of what we had available, those three items. So although the 200 will not be enough to build the sidewalks. So that said, any comments or questions? Any discussion?
Oh, can I check and make sure I got this accurate? So
Yep,
the three things that are energy related that got approved are generators for the town hall and the garage,
that's correct.
and town hall electric and lighting upgrade,
That's correct.
and the PV project.
That's correct. And nothing else made it. None of the EVs, the ground source heat pump study. I mean, it wasn't a ground source heat pump, but
That's great that the
people
solar
are.
got done. That's I'm pleased that the solar's on the list.
I had to fight for it, but we did get it on. People were ready to ditch it.
But you made it.
I find
That's
that
good.
very discouraging.
I find it kind of discouraging too, but that's where we are. So I did the best I could without without accepting Peter Duvall's mantle, and I didn't really want to do that. So,
I think you did. I think you did well. I mean, there's a lot of competing interests. I think if you got those three things in there, that's good. It's not great, but it's good.
yeah, it's a step. It's a step, and I wish people had been more energetic about embracing energy kinds of improvements and so on. You have to be supportive for various recreational opportunities and so on, but somehow, disc golf didn't seem as critical to me as EVs, but it's just me.
Michael,
Yes.
I just was it the fact that do you think people were just prioritizing these other projects more, or did you get a sense that energy just wasn't on their minds, that that it wasn't so important?
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we really need to do some educating about how to handle this. Just people don't seem to be running with it. They don't seem to be treating it, it's kind of like, well, we do something, and that doesn't seem to be a priority.
Right. Okay.
Michael, can you
Was there?
scroll the draft minutes?
Can I see them?
Can you scroll them?
Oh, can I scroll? Oh, sure. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me go to where that would be this guy. And hold on just a moment. I got to figure out exactly what I'm doing here.
Thank you.
How's that? All right. Now where am I? What computer am I working on now? Okay, so that said, we have. Was there any more discussion associated with this, or any questions
I
on
was
it?
I was just curious. I was just curious if there had been any discussion regarding the generators, uh, and with regard to what happened initially. Didn't we think that there was originally money in the budget for one at one point? Didn't that come up in our discussion a meeting ago or so? And wondered
It
if that anybody had learned any more about that.
It apparently did, and apparently Jennifer has determined that there were some funds. So the ARPA funds that are going for the garage generator are less than the total amount because there is still some money left in a fund that was intended to be used for that. So
Oh, great.
that may be one reason why we succeeded in getting that one in, because although there did seem to be, I think I finally got it across to people that it really makes a difference, that we really need to be able to open and close the garage doors, even if the power goes off and stuff like that. I think we would have gotten it otherwise, but that definitely helped that we didn't have to allocate the full funding level to that.
Michael, can you speak a little bit about this Harvest Crossing project? And is there an opportunity there for maybe the Energy Committee to encourage that development to go beyond just standard energy code and maybe try to achieve something higher?
Like a stretch code or
Correct.
something along those lines. I actually hadn't thought about that, and I think that's a good idea. As far as I know, there would be. The actual, it's being kind of shepherded by the church there, the UCC church, are the ones who are actually pulling it together. They're buying Phil Jacobs' land and getting the engineering and stuff done. The units themselves are intended to be constructed by Habitat for Humanity, and I think that CHT, Champlain Housing Trust, is involved in creating perpetual affordability for the units, so that they stay at a reasonable price for basically forever. Appreciating, but more not not a sort of a gold mine. As far as I know, there would be the opportunity to do that. I was talking to Dan Mans. I was actually the contact on that project for the ARPA committees, and Dan Mans was the person that I was talking to. And if you want, I will I'll get in touch with him and see what he has to say about that.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I mean, I just attended this conference, Better Buildings by Design, that Efficiency Vermont sponsors, and Dwight was there too. This was last week. And a lot of my colleagues in the industry are saying, we need more affordable housing, but we can't build it to code. We got to go above and beyond that. We're just perpetuating the problem
Yep.
on building very inefficient housing. I think Dwight I would hope, would agree with that. So if there's an opportunity for us to provide some guidance, I think that would be great. And I would volunteer my time to speak with whomever is willing.
Yep. Let me. I'll get in touch with Dan within 7 days, and I'll let you guys know by email if there are any opportunities, and we can see if there's an opportunity to go beyond this. I don't think we need a motion or anything to do this. This just sounds like one of those good ideas that we can do something
What was
with.
the person's name?
The contact,
Yeah.
Dan Manz, M-A-N-Z. He was the EMT director for Chittenden County for a long time. He lives on Pleasant Valley, up about a ways up above me.
He's
And
also the town meeting moderator.
moderator, exactly, yes.
Okay. Ready to move on?
I am. Okay, moving on to the next item, which is our AHA cold climate heat pump. I don't know if we have anything more we want to talk about this. I was talking with Peter about one of the things that he sent around. I did today go into the document that Steve had put together. Someone had put something up. I don't know who. It sounded a little bit like it might have been Dwight. Suggestions for doing a few things. I put a few other questions and so on in there. I doubt that anything we do will have any impact whatsoever on the trajectory of doing this, but it is something that is of relevance to us, and any discussion that we want to have about it, I think we ought to have. And so I would open it up if anybody wants to talk about that at all, or any of that.
Well, Michael, I'll just comment, since in the last meeting I was the one who took off on the wild rant against against AHA, and subsequently I sat down and read the legislation from beginning to end, all 32 pages again, and I came away without a little bit more moderated in my thinking, I suppose. But I don't know. It seems to me that we don't have any influence, probably. I think that our representatives are just going to vote the way they usually do, with the party or with the tribe they belong to. I was struck by how incomplete this act was. There were pages and pages and pages of them passing the buck to the PUC to come up with various regulations and so forth. So I'm no longer as concerned. You are seeing quite a bit of comment in Vermont Digger, for example, by people who are not happy with the whole idea of doing something and then calling it the Affordable Heat Act, which I think is a giveaway that there's some marketing going on here. But that's all I've got to say on the issue.
Yeah, I think that I hear you, and I think a few people have raised some particularly worthwhile questions. I thought that Julie Moore's thing in Vermont Digger was particularly helpful, and I basically cut and pasted her list of questions into my comments in our document with just a few minor changes. Now, Peter, you can remind me, my recollection was that once the PUC has developed its proposed rulemaking, that it needs to loop back to the legislature. Is this correct?
I believe it is, although I can't profess to be an expert about what the various detailed steps are at this point.
Because that really, to me, is the sort of circuit breaker in this. Many of these things are going to be fairly technical and so on and so forth. I mean, based on our earlier discussion and Steve's very quick and dirty analysis, any heat source that is literally 10 times as economical as the alternative seems to me has at its root core has a lot of room for absorbing concerns about what's
Where does
involved.
that 10 times come? Because that's not what I'm hearing or seeing.
Did you get a chance to look at Steve's analysis, Dwight?
I did not. As you know, I'm not a fan of it at all. So
Well, I do know that, but I thought you were at least, I'm talking about Steve's analysis at this point.
I didn't see that, but I have not seen anything close to 10 times. I will make the effort to read Steve's.
Yeah, I mean, it's
But
just a one-line analysis.
that was just an email, right?
Yes, well, it was a link in an email, and basically all it was the price of a kilowatt hour of electricity and a COP of 2 versus the price of a gallon of fuel oil and an efficiency rating of 90%. And that works out to a factor of 10 on unit of heat delivered. A little over, in fact.
Unit of heat delivered? I'm
Right.
not sure what you mean per dollar spent or
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
okay.
So a unit factor of 10 in the dollars in the cost per unit of
Well,
heat.
I will also take a look at it since I did not study it. As I was telling Michael earlier, I didn't remember getting it, but that's what happens sometimes. But I'm going to take a look at that because
Michael, do you have it handy? Do you know? I need.
Yeah, I have it handy. I mean, it was your email from March 15th.
March 15th? Okay, I'll find it.
Yeah, and it had the link there, and
I'll
it
find
linked
it.
to a Google Sheet.
Because most folks have actually pulled out any of the savings comments around heat pumps.
Well, I get that, but I'm wondering why. I have a feeling this may be a herd instinct as opposed to an analytical result.
Is it the Cadmius report is the reason for it?
Well, I actually sent around a request to our strongest technical ones here, Steve and Peter and Dwight, asking if they could tell me what the hell the Cadmus report said. I read the Cadmus report and I cannot make heads or tails out of it. I don't know what the hell it says, to be honest with you. I read a post in Digger that said some stuff about the Cadmus report and so on, and listed a half a dozen different conclusions, and I could not find those conclusions in it, nor could I derive the conclusions from what I was able to find in it. So if anybody wants to tackle it, I'll send the link around again, but I am completely mystified as to what the hell is in that report.
Yeah.
I tried to figure it out. Steve, were you able to find it?
I'm getting there. Does it have a title?
Let's see. I've got it up in one of my, I thought I had it up in one of my things. Seems like I maybe don't anymore.
Oh, I got it. I think I found it. It was supposed to be a one-off. I didn't think we'd go back and look at it.
Well, I mean, it makes sense.
So again, I just reiterate that it's going to cost low and moderate income Vermonters. I mean, to weatherize and install heat pumps in a cold climate or a heat pump hot water heater, you're talking $40,000 per home.
Yeah.
And that to me is,
Where do you get $40,000 per home?
$15,000 average price to weatherize. 60, and to cover the heat pumps, one heat pump is not going to heat somebody's home. So you're talking $10,000 to $15,000 there. A heat pump hot water heater, right now the price to install is $5,000. So that's 35, and that's where my numbers come from. And the 15,000, and actually my numbers are probably under, because the $15,000 number that I'm using to weatherize the average home in Vermont is nonprofit dollars. That does not include
Profit.
any profit for a private owned company.
I hear that, but I mean, especially that for initial $15,000 piece, I mean, that's something we should be going ass over tin cups to get done anyway, isn't it?
But what I'm saying is that for the average moderate income Vermonter and the low income Vermonters, there's no mechanism for that.
Well, that's the problem, not the improved efficiency and insulation.
Yep.
The
So
problem is that we got no good mechanism for getting them what they need, in my mind.
Yep.
It
So
comes back to that affordable word.
Yes, very
and
much so.
until and in the state administration and the federal administration, they're artificially ramping up the cost of fuel, all the while demonizing the fuel oil distributors. Um, and it's going to cost us more because it's going to cost the low income Vermonters more because they're going to be the slowest able to make the change, and they're going to be paying the higher propane price, all the fossil fuels. I just feel like it's very short sighted and very short, narrow term. Get it done at all costs, and we're going to leave a lot of people behind.
But it
I
seems to
agree that
me that I hear you, Dwight, but it seems to me that what we need to fix is not abandoning the absolutely critical climate and fossil fuel goals, but fixing the problems. Because if we do, we actually might start saving those exact people a lot of money.
Yeah,
yeah,
but those savings will come later on. You can't solve one problem by creating another huge problem. In this case, it's the inequitable treatment of people. They would have to finance both weatherization and heat pumps. Interest
Well,
rates
that's
are
the
going
key.
up. Let me
That's
finish,
the,
please. Let me
but the
finish.
financing is the key. That's what we have to do. That's what has to be addressed because we have to get them to the point where they're relying on non-fossil fuel energy.
Well,
And
so now you're talking about a different problem, though, Steve. You're talking about how do we solve the financing?
that's the issue. If we don't solve that problem, we haven't solved it.
Well, that's the issue with anything. If you could finance easily all sorts of improvements and cheaper energy, we'd just go ahead and do it, and we'd solve the climate problem. I just don't find that as a workable a workable answer
So
to.
then what do? Give up?
we
Oh,
don't
come
give up.
on now, come on. That's not fair. Of course, you don't
Well,
give
I
up.
mean,
And,
at some point, we've got to do the hard work. At some
You
point, we've
find
got to.
some, you work away at something, finding solutions that do work and that are equitable.
But Peter, we've been working at this for 25 years, and everybody says, well, it's not good enough yet. Well, it's not perfect. Well, somebody's going to get hurt. Well, something's going to happen. Well, what's going to happen is we aren't going to do anything.
Well,
ask
let me suggest something that you might do. Have you read John Doerr's book,
Which one is that?
Speed
Speed
and
and Scale?
Scale?
I started it. I didn't get finished. I got diverted to 7 Deadly Sins or whatever it is. The Big Fix.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there on my list of things to read. But we've got to get these funds to the people. The problem isn't to back off from it; it's to get the funds to the people.
So let's
And I think
attack that problem. Let's attack that problem. Who's
absolutely, and that should go into the PUC regs. I would like to see it come out in this law. Maybe that's the thing that we've got to say. Maybe the
well?
Underhill Energy Committee
I
should
think
write a
I
letter
think
that
it
says,
is.
yep, that says,
Oh,
look, great idea. We got to get it funded. Make sure that it says in it that the PUC has got to find ways to fund it because we're just condemning these people to more years of Ukraine invasions and Saudi vitriol and every other damn thing that everybody knows that the price volatility of fossil fuels is staggering even under
then
the best of circumstances.
let's focus on the problem, the financial issues. Tell these guys who are behind the AHA, stop using a stick and forcing these people to go through some tough times as their fossil fuel prices go up during their transition to heat pumps and weatherization, and come up with a carrot. Push a bill that really sends some substantial financing, not only to pay for these measures, weatherization, for example, and heat pumps and so forth, but solves the problem of the lack of the workforce, as Dwight has been saying for a long, long time. That's part of the problem. What's the state doing about that? We
So
can't.
did anybody get a chance to read the article about Burlington's weatherization, the rental initiative?
I didn't see that. Where was it?
Yes, yeah,
You
I
know where
read
it's,
it.
you know where their weatherization initiative has gone for the last year? Nowhere. You know why? Because there's
No
no
labor.
workforce to do the work.
Yeah.
It's there's major problems. There's workforce, there's childcare, and there's housing issues in Vermont. Those are none of the weatherization or energy stuff is going to be fixed because there's no workforce to fix it until we get a solution for those three problems.
So I think if we look forward to how we can potentially play a role in fixing this, because clearly we're a little bit divided here. It's what can we do to kind of shift this paradigm? And I see it's with our new building stock. Again, just going back to the Harvest Crossing, if we're going to build a shitty building because it's cheap and CHT wants to build as cheap as they possibly can, we're going to create the same exact problem. So maybe we have an opportunity here to say, if you're going to build in our town, build it right, build it to a higher energy code, and so those people who are underserved have a comfortable place to live. That would be my perspective.
I am
I
100%
agree.
behind that.
There's too many holes in this AHA act to really figure out how we can solve it as a little energy committee, but maybe we look at
Yeah.
sort of some things that underlie within that umbrella, such as
Yeah, it's just that we're an energy committee as opposed to a workforce committee or a child care committee or even a housing committee, all of which are being handled at one place or another. But don't forget, we're kind of sneaking up on it if we say, well, we're going to say to people that they should really be building to a higher standard because that means that the homes are going to be less affordable. So all of a sudden, exactly the same thing that everybody said that we're not allowed to do, we're doing. So I'm with you. I totally agree that we ought to be doing it, but we just do it with our eyes open. We're talking about more expensive units.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Robbie also about that. But one must also be aware, I think it was 10 years ago, I heard the figure 80,000 homes needing weatherization in the state of Vermont. And what's happened since then? I don't think Dwight would know the most about this. I don't think they've made barely a dent in that need, but it was recognized 10 or 12 years ago.
We've done about 1,500 homes a year. Oh, and by the way, you know what they did with the 80,000 goals, which Neil Lunderville pulled out of his butt because I was at the meeting when he admitted it? It upped it to 125,000 we have to weatherize.
Right.
And which orifice did this arrive from, Dwight?
He admitted it that he pulled out the $80,000 number. He made it up because it sounded like a good place to start. There was no
Okay.
analysis behind it.
Right. Well, I suppose what we might think about doing, what the Energy Committee might think about doing, is indeed writing something about let's solve the real problem, which goes back to financing and getting certain types of projects done. And who do we give that to? We could I'd say give it to our representatives, but I don't think they're going to do a damn thing. We could send it if we agreed that if we could come up with something, we could send it to Chris Bray, who is the senator who's behind this. But we could send it to the person in the Vermont House who is in charge of getting this through the House. And by the way, haven't we gone over the crossover point?
Yes, crossover occurred already. It's in the House.
So we've got some time here.
Well, I mean, we got the rest of the session, which is where this is already April. It usually ends in May.
Oh, and they haven't crossed the point where they can't vote in favor or pass any more legislation. They haven't reached that point.
No, they're still.
Yeah,
I think this made crossover.
yeah.
Yeah, it did make cross. Well, actually, I think it beat crossover. Actually, it didn't. Wasn't
Okay.
waiting for it.
All right.
It crossed over before the crossover deadline. So, yeah, if somebody wants, I could take a crack at that and send it around via email and see if anybody wants to do anything with it. I mean, that I think that this something is really critical, but standing up for the people that are going to they're going to have difficulty as part of it is absolutely critical, as is the workforce. And I'm perfectly happy. I'm not quite happy with Peter's formulation about forget the thing itself and do the other stuff, but I think that we should make the other stuff part and parcel of doing this.
Well, I don't think I said that, Michael, but you and I
Oh,
can have
okay.
a separate conversation.
Yeah, right. No, that's what I heard, but I mean that's the way I just write it up and everybody can take it, do what tackle it from there. Unless somebody else wants to write it up and I'll tackle it from there.
Why don't you, I would suggest you might want to start by outlining it to see if it has the flavor of being something that somebody should spend some time on to submit to, and the question is to whom. I would think it would be someone near the top of the ladder in the House, the Vermont House.
I don't think it only
Or
has to go to one person. I think it
there's
can go
probably
to
a
half a dozen
committee.
different.
There's probably a committee that's reviewing it. Isn't that the way it
Yep,
works?
I'm
Yeah,
sure there is somebody. It's in somebody's committee, and one of our people may even be on it.
yeah.
Well, if somebody will track down where we ought to send it, I will write something up to see and pass it around, see if anybody's interested in sending it.
I don't think either of our folks are on that committee.
Okay.
They could
Looks like
probably
Steve.
point, they might be able to point to the people who are. I don't have a lot of, I got to be careful here. This is being recorded, but
Don't worry about it.
our current representation, with one of whom I've had some extended dealings, is not someone I think who would help us necessarily get something done. But they might point us to the right person.
That sounds good. So I will put together the outline that you're talking about, which may be a little bit more than an outline, because I'm not planning on a big, like a 50-page letter, like what's his name, Alvin Bragg's complaint to the court or anything like that. I'm just planning on a fairly brief thing that says, we really support the goals associated with this. We think it's critical, but we think there are some other critical issues that need to be addressed. And we hope that the committee will address them. Hope that the legislature will address them, and this is what they are. And the ones
Yeah.
that I would put in there are funding for low and moderate income people, our workforce, and what was the other one, Dwight?
Childcare.
Childcare.
Well,
Oh, aren't they doing something on childcare this year?
My wife was down at Montpelier today. I think for the first time she's ever done it, she went down to the, I don't think it was called a protest. What was it called, Nancy? Courage to Care rally. So maybe they might be doing something. Maybe.
Okay. Well, we'll say that it's necessary. So those three: childcare. Where's my pencil? The cat got
Childcare,
the kitten got
workforce,
my pencil.
and affordable housing.
Affordable housing. What was the
Okay,
third one?
those are the three.
What were the three?
That's the
Childcare,
basic. Childcare,
affordable
low
housing,
mod
and what?
support, funding and support for low mod people,
I didn't hear
and
that. Say it again.
funding and support for low mod income people.
Who? Oh, who?
Low moderate income.
Well, we were talking about the problem of solving the workforce availability, because none of the weatherization, which is key, is not going to
Right.
happen without that being solved.
Yep. Workforce. So Steve just put my outline down, but I'll write it up a little more than that. But
Who's this letter going to?
we don't know yet. Somebody's going to try to find out.
Yeah,
Somebody in the legislature, at least.
Who does somebody know? Our other legislator, what's her name? Ann Jonda, or what? The woman who
Oh,
was
she's
just
not a legislator.
No,
Edie
it's
Granning was the one who
Oh,
was
no,
just.
no, Edie Granning. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
I
I
know
know both
Edie.
of them.
She might, who knows? She might get in our corner beyond just telling us who to send something to.
I'm
But
not
I don't
convinced
know
Trevor
her.
wouldn't, but yeah, I know her. I've spoken with her anyway.
Yeah.
But I've also spoken with Trevor. I have not felt kind of corralled by him, so I'm fine with them. But let's put it together. Somebody can pull together some suggestions as to where we might send it. We don't have to send it to just one. I think multiple people, and possibly even follow up shortly thereafter by submitting it to Vermont Digger or something like that. It'd be perfectly acceptable.
hey, Michael,
Yes.
did that capture it?
Yep. Looks good to me.
Can you open the link that is above it?
Can I? I can try. Wrong. Oh, you want me to open it on this computer? I guess probably, right?
The one that's displayed.
Wait a minute. That's not where I'm going. Where am I going?
That one. So I don't know where Michael got 10 times from, because I see it as comparable. So when this comes up, is it coming? This is just totally back of the envelope beginning of a calculation, but I think it's a kind of
Right.
analysis that we need to
Price
do. What's that?
Okay, go ahead.
I think it's a kind of analysis we need to do is, because the amount of heat you get out obviously depends on the ambient temperature. And I haven't seen anybody that's done an analysis. I mean, if you run the heat pump when it's minus 20 and that's the only time you run it, it's an obvious loser. If you run it when it's only 60 degrees outside and that's the only time you run it, it's an obvious winner. But what about the real world? Has anybody model, what you get in actual cost over the course of a year
Well,
if you run the heat pump all the time?
supposedly, Steve, that's what that Cadmus study was all about.
Yeah, I scanned it too, and I didn't find anything clear either.
My guess is there's probably an analysis out there, or one or more analyses.
Because that's what we need.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, shall we move on?
Yes, let's move on. Okay, where am I? Pre-audit program. We're running a little behind. Pre-audit program. What can we do to make that happen? Any suggestions?
John and I are meeting this weekend. If anybody else wants to meet, we're gonna meet over a couple beers, get it in writing, and move forward.
Where and when does this meeting occur?
We haven't decided yet.
Okay.
Figure it out once we talk to our wives and they let us have some time.
The idea is well, actually, we should float this by everyone. Does everyone want to see? I mean, what we'll plan to do is to basically come up with I mean, Dwight and I have talked about this, but come up with a list of things that we'll actually do, how many times that we plan to offer this, um, so that Dwight and I can offer this in some reasonable amount of time. And then sort of work out how we're going to maybe a posting for Front Porch Forum. So is that something that everyone wants to see once we're done and sort of vet all this? Should we send it around?
Sure.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah. All
But I
right.
mean, I
So
think we ought to do it, basically.
yeah.
Got to get moving on this weatherization piece. I think it's really critical. I mean, one of the letters I saw in Vermont Digger basically said, doing all this heat pump stuff, and they did it as a knock on heat pumps. But basically, what I saw was that yeah, I mean, anytime you're trying to heat the great outdoors, it's a bad idea, no matter how you cut it, no matter what the source of heat is.
So yeah, I was at the same conference with Ravi. I think half the vendors were heat pump vendors. And what amazes me is I was at another conference last week called the Poverty Conference down at Lake Moray, and I was sitting with some really intelligent people, and the way they were using their heat pumps was like totally not the way to use them. They would turn it on before they went to bed to heat up their bedrooms and then turn them off. So, even those that have been sold a heat pump obviously have not been educated on how to use them efficiently and what they should be. I mean, so there's a lot of
Yeah,
issues out there.
sounds like something that needs to be addressed to me. Okay, so are we good with that? John and it looks like John has got his assistant. My assistant went off somewhere. I think he went for dinner. Okay, are we good with that?
I gotta
Yes.
jump off, guys. So if there's any action items that are needed from me, just let me know.
I don't think we have a bunch of action. We do. Ravi, can I move then the initiatives up because Kathy McMains is interested in getting something going and wondering if you can get involved with that and maybe engage your GMP connections to help us set up another event for June.
Yep, we talked about that via email. I never followed up with GMP, so that's on my list of things to do. I will coordinate with them and you and Catherine and get this all to move
Great.
forward.
That's great. So I think we're good for that. I'm still planning. I would, when we go through it, I'd like to talk about doing the farmers market. At one point, Nick Atherton got in touch with me and is very interested in looping locomotion into our EV activities.
Okay.
And I wanted to just get a temperature of everybody on that, and I'll get back to him because I thought he was going to be here tonight. But I sent him an invitation, but obviously he wasn't able to make it. He said he was out of town. He thought he might be able to zoom in, but obviously not.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'll follow up with you, Michael, via email, and we can kind of take
great.
this offline and see what comes of it.
Yep. Is everybody good with that? Just that bunch of things that we're doing there, and looping in the locomotion people as well, possibly. No comments? Okay, I'll do it then. I'll
See you
get back
guys.
to him on that. Okay, Ravi, thank you. Good night. All right, so we did that one. Let's go on to the solar discussion.
Hey, Michael, what did we just do? You went so fast, I missed it.
Oh, okay. Basically, Ravi is going to contact. We're on for the EV with Jericho Energy Task Force. We already said that actually as of the last meeting, and this is kind of organizing for it. I was in touch with Kathy McMains to talk about getting it all going. I am going to be chasing Dave Roberts and seeing if I can get him involved. Kathy's also interested in getting GMP involved in the GMP piece. She's interested in a two-pronged approach, one prong being a talk, sort of a chalk talk at the end of May, and then a demo kind of event, kind of like we had in June after the school is out. So we'd be able to use BRMS. And she's going to be in charge of working with BRMS and DRML to get space and so on for that. And I would be chasing Dave Roberts to get them involved. And Ravi has just agreed to chase GMP to get them involved because they were also critical in the last event that we had. So cool. Also, it's my understanding that we are interested in pursuing the Jericho Farmers Market, in which case I will get in touch with Elizabeth and look for dates for us. Are we still going to talk about that? Think about doing that for another year and see if anything comes of it? And then reconvene after that to see if I just want to go down and hang out with Jerry.
Yeah, I can support it sometimes.
Great. Well, okay, I'll do that then. I will get in touch with Elizabeth and see about getting some dates for us, and joining up with Jericho also to do that. So we'll be kind of doubling up for doing that. So it looks to me like I got to scroll this again, do I, Steve?
Yeah.
Okay, let me figure out exactly where that is.
I'm seeing the heat pump versus oil still on my screen. Is anybody else seeing that? If we could
Yeah,
move that.
yeah.
Oh, okay, let
Here-
me see about getting back to that whole business. Yeah, I see you're right. Minutes. Is that better?
Yep.
Yes.
We finish up this section.
Yeah, let's go ahead and finish it up. We got then there is the question about the harvest market, but I think we need to decide early on whether we're going to take another stab at that. I will say Nick seemed to be somewhat enthusiastic about maybe being able to get Locomotion to get involved in that this year. I guess he's thanks, Graham. I guess he has been linking up with them and so on. So um, I would say it might be worth one more. This would be our third try at engaging Locomotion and Harvest Market and some kind of e-bike sort of event. It may be that Harvest Market isn't the way to do it, that we'll just do the demo, but to at least talk with them about that and see if there's anything that we can do. But since we would be talking about engaging them in the EV demo, it might open up some avenues for us to actually work with them for the Harvest Market as well. If people want me to pursue that, I will do that as part of our EV demo event. If people think it's worth taking a stab at one more time, then it's
Seems like a
either
long
three
shot to
strikes
me,
you're
but
out or third time's the charm. I'm sorry.
it seems like a long shot to me, given our failures in the past, but I don't understand why we failed in the past.
I think it has something to do with not making the right connections with Locomotion is what I think it has been. So maybe with Nick involved, maybe if they're involved in the earlier demo, there'll be some sense to it. I don't know. The way I figure it, it would either be three strikes and you're out or third time's the charm for me.
Okay.
Okay, I will talk with them. Then we got, website stuff coming up. That's fine. It's always still hanging there. Anybody want to talk about anything else in the committee initiatives? Jerry looks like he's trying to say something, but I just might be inferring. Nope. Okay. that'll be done then. So committee initiatives are taken care of, and we've got the solar discussion. It is now 6:07, so we're in pretty good shape. The solar discussion, Peter had suggested that this would be something that we would pursue. He sent around a thing for Acorn. I sent that folder, the flyer to you. The basic ideas, and I was also speaking with Steve about where we might go in all of this. Some thought that we might be moving toward trying to find some way to do some kind of CSA style kind of solar here in Underhill, either with some developer somehow or something. I would open it up. I know Peter has some thoughts about the Acorn one, which in fact is available for co-op customers, that array itself. But anyway, I thought I'd just open this one up and see if people have any thoughts, and see what we can do about pushing our solar part of our program a bit.
Well, if I may, Michael, I'd like to give a slight preamble here. It seems to me that
Please do.
we have, I think all of us are interested in what's possible in terms of doing more in solar. We were lucky with our 150 kW array on Beartown. I don't know whether there exists opportunities to do something like that again in Underhill itself. There are some issues about hooking up more than that one array to Green Mountain Power. Here we have a situation which seems the Acorn Heinsberg array hooking up with Vermont Electric Co-op. It appears to be perhaps, depending on its merits, a nice way to offer VEC customers a way to get involved in solar without putting one up in their backyard. So let me back up though in terms of the sort of the basics here. We have to stay aware of the fact that we are, as individuals and a committee, we have limited time and effort that we can expend on anything large. So I think we need to perhaps sort out what kind of solar options are there and which would allow us a better shot of being successful. And Steve is the expert on this. He's got two arrays. I think they're both group net metered, are they not, Steve?
I've got 3 arrays, and one right now on our barn that is group net metered. One in the field is now no longer group net meters. It's just a leased. I lease the land, and All Earth Renewables sells the power. And then the third one is a 1.18 kW or 118 kW solar field that is owned by a group that feeds power to a senior center, and that is just leased land. So there's 150 kilowatts altogether.
So I don't know if you've had a chance to look at this Acorn presentation or offering, and I don't know enough about it to know whether this is typical and whether it appears to be well done. What caught my eye was there appears to be something like a 6.5% internal rate of return for what I call investors who buy into this. I don't know if that's good, or I mean whether that's high, low, or reasonable. One detail that I did have that perhaps you can answer is, sticking on the financial issues here, is if a resident or a member of this array who's bought into this gets a credit on their monthly electricity bill from VEC, is that taxable income?
I don't treat it like that. It just deducted from my bill. It's a constant.
But are you obliged to report it as the equivalent of income?
I never have.
I'm on a Sun Common array that way too, and I have never reported it.
So that makes that 6.5% IRR even a little bit sweeter, as a matter of fact, and probably, although Steve could speak to this too, I can see the argument that it should be considered low risk. So 6.5% return after taxes, a low risk. That's a pretty good deal for somebody who
Yes.
has the money to make the investment.
Yep.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Now, I don't know if you've looked at the rest of this. I sort of dumped this at last minute in Steve's lap, but I don't know if he's had a chance to look at these 10 reasons, the lead sheet and the information on the follow-up sheet. But it
Did
would
you
be
email to
interesting
me recently?
to send it to you earlier today.
Yeah, I've been busy all day.
Sorry about that. Well, maybe do you suppose you could take a quick look at it? Not now, but when you get a chance, and see if anything jumps out at you. Other than that, I guess the question for me would be, what might we want to do with regard? Would we want to make a post on Front Porch Forum that says we think that BEC customers should know about this? We've got to be careful in terms of endorsing it, because that sort of puts us in the boat along with the other people who are promoting this. And I think we have to decide whether we want to do anything at all like that. I looked and could not find a Front Porch Forum post on the Underhill forum that promoted this. There have been a few in Cambridge, and perhaps, I don't know, where else is VEC? They're all over the place, but I did not see any in Underhill. So I don't know. They seem to be climbing a pretty steep hill at this point, but I think the committee needs to answer the question: do we want to give them a leg up of any sort?
My gut reaction, without having read the current proposal, is that we do. Acorn, in my limited interaction with them, they seem like a really good group. They've done some great projects down in their area, and why not?
I share that. I mean, basically, we're in a position of we would advocate, what to say join a CSA, and here's one that exists that you can join doesn't strike me as a bad thing to do. I mean, it's I don't see how it's any different from saying that get your house weatherized, and here are a bunch of vendors who can do it for you, or whatever. I
Right.
think that we're advocating basically an energy approach that makes a lot of sense, and I think that it would be just fine.
Hey, Graham, do you know, does Sun Common still offer any CSA options?
I'm not. I don't think so.
Can
I'm
you
not
I
just,
had the
100%
impression that
sure, and
they don't.
I can check, but I think or I should say, as far as participating in development or managing existing.
well, I think, do they offer an option like Acorn? I know they used to, but I think they don't either, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't really certainly
When you get
get
a
some
moment, can you
detail
see if you
on
can
what,
find out
if
for sure?
anything.
When you get a moment, can you see if you can find out for sure?
Yeah,
That'd be great.
I also had the impression that they do not. I actually have a share of a Sun Common CSA, and that's our solar contribution. And also, I was thinking about the taxation thing. Then obviously, if what they rebate to me would be taxable, then I assume that what I pay to them would be deductible. So, but I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I haven't deducted what I pay to them either. So, however, I believe that when Nicole was still here, I asked her about it, and she said that they had not. But I don't know don't know if I accurately assessed what she said to me, nor if it's still the case. So if Graham could find out a little bit more, that would be great.
But in the meantime, might the committee want to go ahead and perhaps post something on Underhill's Front Porch Forum that says, we think you, so to paraphrase loosely, we think you ought to know about this. This is a way to benefit from solar without actually building something in your own backyard or on your roof.
I do. I think it's a good idea.
I do too.
I can send you my idea for wording on this if you like, Michael. But I think that it should come from Michael Oman, chair of the Underhill Energy Committee.
Sure, that's fine. I'm glad to do
Sounds
it.
great.
If the committee, any further thoughts from the committee?
Sounds good.
It looks, I was just gonna say, it looks like, and I don't, the 19th of April, it says on their website is the deadline for, and I don't know if that's hard and fast, but deadline for joining April 19th.
In other words, this is something we should have done after.
No, well, that's a good
So
point.
still, it's not too late, I don't think, if it's in the next day or so, but
I don't think they have to be fully, I don't think they have to be fully subscribed by then. I can send along the email that I got originally from Acorn. But they do have to hit a certain level by that deadline.
okay.
So
Peter, send me the wording. I'll post it tomorrow. I guess I can do it. Yeah, I'd probably do it tomorrow. If you send it tonight, I can possibly do it tomorrow before tomorrow's posting.
yeah,
I'm
sure.
serious because I'm going to be out all tomorrow morning, so I'm not going to be able. And I do need to get it in.
Well, then what I think the thing to do is I will forward you the email I got from Acorn, and you can simply put your byline on it and send it along. I think that's the way to do it. Then we don't get into any problem with not having the right facts.
I think that's good.
Actually, I'm a little. I would rather say something more to the effect of, we support this, and here's an example of.
Well, you can do that if you like.
I have a
The timing is.
question regarding it. Are we dealing with Acorn or are we dealing with Vermont Electric Co-op? Because I dealt with Vermont Electric Co-op when I made my arrangement.
You're dealing
It's my
with
understanding
Acorn.
that, yeah, you'll be dealing with Acorn, and Acorn makes the arrangements with the co-op.
Electric Co-op.
In one sense, you're dealing with Vermont Electric Cooperative. If you looked at that diagram that's in what was sent around to everybody, you can see that essentially the way it appears to work, and perhaps this is the way it usually does, is that Vermont Electric Co-op ends up knowing how much credit they should give each of their customers who's a subscriber. And so there is that interaction, but it's Acorn who really is the administrator and the one with whom one would interact in order to become a subscriber or get involved in any way to begin with.
Yes. Yeah, that's basically what happens with me. I have two people, they pay me directly for their power, and I allocate a fraction of the production to each of them that GMP posts to their invoices. So they get credited by GMP.
I get credited by Vermont Electric Co-op as a deduction of my bill every month.
Yeah, that's what I get from the GMP.
But the customers deal directly with me, and the customers would deal directly with Acorn.
Right.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
I think
So we've got.
I suggest you have a motion, Michael, with regard to.
You think so? Okay.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Can we have a motion?
Make the motion that Michael writes a note in Front Porch Forum, educating the Underhill population on the Acorn solar opportunity.
Good.
Sounds good. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? I would say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. The motion carries, and I will do that. Peter, send me whatever wording you've got.
I will. Yeah.
Hey, just can you scroll down, Michael?
Okay, let me get back there.
Does that cover it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. It seems like the other thing that we need to do is follow up on the ARPA project once, hopefully, the select board approves it.
Sounds good. I think Suncommon was the selected vendor.
But we should make sure it doesn't drop through the cracks.
Yep, sounds good. I'm game.
Is this about solar, town hall solar?
Yes.
I need to ask a question again, and I think somebody's got to get the answer as to if the town hall now becomes a solar customer through an array, which I guess they would finance.
Yes.
Anyway, in a manner as one would expect to reduce the cost of the electricity that they are using. How does that affect the old agreement with our Beartown array? Because what we get back from the Beartown array is based on what our kilowatt hours are each month. Now, would those kilowatt hours now become net kilowatt hours, net of any credits for that from a new array, or would they remain the same, the gross amount before any other? That was not, I mentioned that before, but I think we need to get that answer, and I would think it would come from Suncommon.
I agree. Suncommon did offer an analysis. Graham, you were going to check with, I forget the guy's name now, but you said you knew who it was.
Yeah, so I know that, and I haven't talked with that individual. I did prior to or the day that we spoke, Michael, on the phone a bit ago. Did speak with another sales sort of that, solar home representative, and that would the situation with the town, with the current billing structure, wouldn't have been factored into either proposal, GMES or Suncommon's, in terms of the financial piece of that. And then I think, to me, and this is not my lane, but it seems like we would be negating the benefit of the agreement that is in place. I think, unless we're able to renegotiate it, and I don't know how. I can certainly check and see what type of analysis they'd be able to offer in this particular circumstance. I think it's pretty unique, but would be happy to try to find out a little more information on that. But that was not taken into account initially here. So we would essentially be, negating the benefit that we currently have from the solar on the gravel pit. And so it seems to me like we should also see what flexibility we have to sort of renegotiate that agreement and whether there are other, we can allocate some of that elsewhere if in fact it is a disadvantage to put solar on site. I don't know.
I don't mean to be a naysayer on this, Graham, but I think your chances of renegotiating the Green Lantern capital agreement are close to or equal to 0.
Yeah, I would have thought that they were pretty low.
So the question really is, if the town were to put a solar array, I assume it's on town land, and that it resulted in a credit, a direct credit of, I don't know how that would work, Steve, maybe you know, for kilowatt hours against the amount that the town uses on a monthly basis, would that net kilowatt hour result be the basis for determining the credits that would come from the original array? Because the way that array works is, Green Lantern Capital, who owns the array on Beartown, knows from Green Mountain Capital how much electricity we have used on a given month. They then sell credits to the town based on those kilowatt hours at a 12% discount. The town then takes those credits and applies them against their bill from Green Mountain Power. Interestingly enough, we have exactly the same arrangement with another Green Lantern Capital array, which is in Vermont Electric Co-op territory. And they've given us the same 12% reduction from that. So that would not be affected, obviously. But I'm afraid that we would run into some sort of issue with the way the credits are issued from Green Lantern if the net amount of kilowatt hours is used as the basis for calculating.
I think you're right. And I think we need to find somebody else to use those kilowatt hours. And whether it could be the school or some other town. I mean, that's the only other option that I can see is somebody else taking that power. Because well, can I suggest we wait on this until we know if it even gets approved?
I think the probability is high that it will be approved.
Okay. Then I think we do need to ask, actually, I need to back up a step, but I think we still need to ask anyways, even. I think we need to find out what we're going to do, because we shouldn't go to the select board with a proposal that doesn't make any sense.
I think if you go to the select board with this proposal and it's discussed at any level, the Energy Committee must be straightforward with what this concern is. Hopefully, it can be sorted out as to whether it exists, it would exist or not.
Yes.
So we need to get that answer, and I've got to call into Jen Silpy because she handles this business with Green Mountain Power to see if she can shed any light on it. But I don't know that she. This is. I do too. This is more a game between power companies and administrators, solar companies, and that sort of thing. Green Mountain Power would probably be the one who might well shed the most light on this.
Yep. Well, them or Suncommon. Suncommon must know about how this works.
I would think that the power, the GMP for sure. Again, I think not. Yeah, I don't, because Sun Common is almost exclusively residential and sort of on-site um, systems. I would I can ask around, but I think that the experience is, this is sort of a one-off, like not common at all. But I'd be happy to just check around and see. Um,
That would be great.
but I'm not sure that Sun Common has the answer to
Yep.
this. They might have, yeah.
Well, I will talk to Jen Silpy and tell her what our concern is, and she may want to talk to Green Lantern Capital about this issue, because they, after all, are the ones who issue the credits to us based on the monthly use of kilowatt hours by the town hall.
Yep.
Well, let's assume that, I mean, it only makes sense that those credits offset the power, and we need another off-taker to use that power. Who is that?
Well, I think, I don't mean to be, again, Steve, a naysayer, but I think that would involve changing the net metering agreement.
Well, no, I'm thinking we leave Green Green Lantern as it is, but the new solar system, that would be a new group net metering system, and we just need to have somebody in the group. So like right now, I've got power that I produce and I share with two people. So the town hall could have power that they produce and share it with the school. Who would they share it with?
If you're talking about changing the person who would get the credits, whatever form they're in, from the new array, yeah, that's fine. That would be a less, it would be fairly straightforward, I would assume. Now, when we went around with Norwich Solar, who was the other competitor, as you may remember, Steve, we went up to the school. And he said, well, the elementary school. And he said, well, this is a possibility. Of course, the roofs are facing in the wrong direction and they're all, at different angles and so forth. So he wasn't terribly interested in that. But
I'm not thinking we would put the system there. I'm just thinking they would take some power.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. Of course, it would be located on the ground. That's a proposal around town hall somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're correct.
Would Jennifer be the best resource to figure out how many physical electrical meters the town has, that, who's paying the town's electrical bill and knows the different meters? Aren't there?
There are essentially 3 meters, as I understand it. The third one is skipping me right now, but there's a small bill from the historical schoolhouse, and there's one other bill. Can't remember, but it's much smaller. And the decision was made that those would be left out of the agreement entirely because they were separate bills, and the amount of work that would have been required to deal with credits and that sort of thing with these two much smaller entities was not worth it. The elementary school, is not one of those meters. It's a separate entity, as I understand it, and probably the best target for something like this.
Okay, who's going to pursue this?
Well, I told you I would talk to Jen Silpy and find out what we can pin down there, and see if that could lead to a chat with Green Lantern. So I can do that part of it.
Okay. Do we have another part of it that needs to get covered?
You need the fundamental question answered. And that is, what happens if a second array is feeding the town hall?
But
What
Green
happens to
Lantern,
it? Yeah,
Green Lantern or Green Mountain would be the ones to know about that, right?
I would guess so.
And you're going to be talking to Green Lantern.
No, I'm going to have Jen Silpy talk to Green Lantern.
Okay. But via you, there will be a conversation with Green Lantern.
We can hope.
Okay. Now, is anybody in a position to talk to GMP?
Well, I think again, Jen Silpy's the point would be the point person on this, and she might be able to identify somebody. I'm not sure.
Yeah, she's spoken with them before about the service
Yeah.
for town hall and so on.
But
Okay, we're hoping that Jennifer will be able to handle that, right?
Or
Get us the
Brad.
information. Or Brad.
There's a good possibility that Brad. I had a call into him. I didn't get answers from either one of them today. I tried to learn from one of them how this whole thing would work if a second bunch of credits came in from a different array.
Peter John is trying to get in for a moment. I think he needs to leave.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything I needed to be here with regards to quorum or something like that. I don't want to mess it up.
No, quorum would be all right, but we should be wrapping up anyway. We've run over. I just want to know if we know what's going to happen now. Peter's going to talk to Jennifer and pursue it there, right?
I'll talk to Brad also.
And talk to Brad also. That's fine. And let them know of our concerns about the billing arrangement.
Right.
As well. Okay. Before tomorrow evening, right?
If
tomorrow
they get
evening.
back to me.
Tomorrow evening is a select board meeting when Bill is going to be presenting it.
Oh, they're going to present the ARPA.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to sign off now,
John,
guys.
Okay.
thank you. Thanks for. That's why I was saying that, not to be rude. Although
Well,
I am that too, but
I can go down to town hall and see if I can. But if they're available, I'll get them.
great. That's about all we can do at this point. Thank you for doing that.
Michael, I don't think we're going to get an answer to this before the ARPA projects are presented. So there must be some steps. There must be a way to suggest there are other issues if it comes up.
Yep.
Regarding town hall solar.
Letting them know that this is on the table would be worthwhile.
Yeah.
Is anybody able to attend that board meeting tomorrow, select board meeting?
I'm already scheduled into another meeting, so I can't.
I will not be able to either.
I'll plan to
No.
attend. So I'll
That would
plan
be
to
great to
attend.
have
I
you
think-
attend.
Peter, can you just let me know at the end of the day what you've learned?
Sure. Let Steve know if he reads his email.
Well,
He
I
does.
got back here at 5:01, so I didn't
No, I
have time to
know.
email.
Okay.
I read your email about Parkinson's. That was good.
I found it very interesting.
Yes. Okay, shall we adjourn?
Do we want to set up any agenda items for next meeting, or just pick up where we left off?
I would say that we want to continue talking about solar.
Okay.
Anything else?
We
I think Yep,
need to get an answer about the heat pump advantage in terms of cost versus
right.
carbon-based fuels.
I will have sent around my draft of something by then, so you all can decide what we want to do with it.
Yeah,
Anything else?
pre-audit. I think we usually cover this every meeting, but the weatherization pre-audit and specifically like training, any training ideas for other committee members? I know we kind of floated that idea and tried to make it happen.
Yep.
Training, doing the schoolhouse or something like that. I don't know if that was still, there's still interest.
That's been done.
Yeah, we did the schoolhouse. We put it out. We did the schoolhouse. So
Okay.
we gave them a list of ideas to do.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's a good start for me. We'll be needing to talk about the events that are coming up, the EV demo and farmers market stuff and so on. So.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to adjourn. It's not debatable. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Michael, don't hang up.